Hi everyone. Let's spend a bit of time looking at the North Island College Library website. As many of you will have started formulating your topics for your research assignments, you'll be thinking about actually beginning to conduct research. And also as you move towards your proposal assignment, you might be thinking about what kind of topics are suitable and how you'll go about choosing those. So you'll probably want to do some preliminary poking around before you decide on a topic. And so it might be useful to be a little bit familiar with the library website. So there are several guides on the library site for teaching you how to search more effectively and how to use the site in general. So we can have a look at a few of those. So here we are on library.nic.bc.ca, and if we just find this research tab here, we can get a few options. Don't think tutorials works, so don't follow that one. But if you go under research guides, you get a whole bunch of different guides for different topics, different areas of study. We're going to follow the research help. Same option as here. I'm going to follow this one. And we get a bunch of different options for how to get help on our research through the library. So there are some more old-fashioned ways of doing it. You can come to the library and ask for research help. The library staff will be happy to help you. If you're close to a campus, that's an option. If you're not, you can do things like email some questions in. They'll be happy to respond to those, or you can even try phoning. You can also try the Ask Away feature, which is this green box over here. So this is a really fabulous resource. It's sort of like an instant messaging with librarians. And so you can just type in your questions here about suitability of your topic or about how to find resources related to your topic. And a librarian gets back to you almost immediately. The Ask Away feature is only open during regular library office hours, so you can't chat to someone on Ask Away at 3 in the morning or anything. So plan your research time accordingly in order to make use of that. But it is a really fantastic resource, the online instant messaging one. I've used it in classes sometimes just to help people find resources sort of live in class. You can also book research appointments to come in and meet with a librarian if you want to ensure that there's someone there to talk to. Down here we also have this online research tutorial, and this is a really fantastic resource if you're not familiar with conducting academic research. So I would highly recommend you look through this if you have any questions about the research process at all. We start off by defining information literacy and talking about locating library resources. So I'm not going to read through these slides. I'll leave this up to you to look through. But this is the kind of thing that it works through in these initial stages of this tutorial. The different types of information that you can have access to through the NIC website. This one, as you see at the top, this has 11 pages, and the module is module 1. It's just called Starting Your Research. So let's just get to the end of that. We can do a little quiz here, but we're not going to do that. Let's just get through. There's a couple of prezzies built into this, so you can then look through these prezzies if you want more information. Again, this is a pretty easy and low stakes, low learning curve entry into these systems, so you'll definitely want to check this out. I like this idea of research as a process, so these are some nice stages that you might think about yourself working through as you work through this semester. We won't have a quiz, so don't worry. This is sort of the home page for the information literacy tutorial. So there's, as you can see, there's several different sections. Those 11 slides that we just looked through were simply this component here. So there's also some material about choosing your topic, using the online catalogs, finding articles. This one will be particularly useful since most of your research will be based on scholarly articles. Also talks about how to use the web to search for resources, and then also citing your sources to avoid plagiarism. So citing resources, finding articles, choosing your topic, and using the catalog will probably be the most important ones. But I would highly recommend looking through all of this material if you have any questions about the research process or how to find resources for your project. If we go back to the main library site, we can also have a look at some of the search functionality. So if we go into articles and databases, again, the majority of the research that you conduct, you're going to be looking at scholarly articles. You can browse the library databases by title. This is somewhat useful because it just so happens the very first one, Academic Search Complete, is one of the most useful. You can see there's dozens of different databases that you can search. Academic Search Complete is an exceptionally good one. I clicked that link, and if you're doing this from home, a home computer, and you haven't entered your credentials, you may be asked to enter your NIC student ID and password in order to get to this page. And so here you can just start to actually do your search. So you can do something like self-driving cars. Once we start to type it, you can see that this is a fairly popular topic, and so we get some autocomplete suggestions here. Self-driving cars or autonomous cars or driverless cars, etc. Self-driving cars and safety. Let's just go with self-driving cars. We get some other fields that we could use to refine our research, but at this point we're not really sure what we're talking about and whether the resources will be acceptable or whether there's enough resources. So let's start fairly broad. And we've come up with 1,611, which is far too broad. So we need to start narrowing that down. And on the left-hand side here, we have a whole bunch of different buttons and options for refining our results. So in English 115, you're limited to scholarly resources, so peer-reviewed material. So you can't use things like CBC reports or YouTube videos produced by random people, or CNN, or Maclean's magazine, or any newspapers, or any popular sources. I also would suggest not using encyclopedias. Encyclopedias are sort of scholarly resources, but also kind of not really. And in most cases, they're not acceptable for serious academic work. Now, of course, if you don't know anything about your topic, then sure, start with some simple encyclopedias or even Wikipedia to get some basic information. But that information shouldn't show up in your final product, your final scholarly work. So since you're required to only use scholarly material, there's a nice little button here on the left that we can click, Scholarly or Peer-Reviewed Journals, and that updates our search results, and we have narrowed it down from 1,100 down to about 600, which is still not manageable, but is starting to become more manageable. We also probably want to have the full text of the material, so we want to be able to read the entire text of the article. So we can here see with this first result, we have the article's title and then its bibliographic information, and then this nice little full text here where we can download a PDF of that entire article. The second one, we have the second search result, we have the title and all the bibliographic information, but we don't have full text access to that. And then we get this, where can I get this? So we might have to request it from another library. At this stage of our research, you probably want to limit yourself to resources that you have full text access to. You don't want to start bringing in interlibrary loan stuff at this point, because you might not be using it and it can take a little bit of time. So let's limit that also to the full text. All right, now we're down to 173 results. This is again starting to become more manageable. We can also change the dates, the publication dates, using these sliders. So let's try just the last couple of years, see what we get. All right, now we're down to 46 results. This is much more manageable. You can imagine working through a list of 46 titles and determining which might be useful. And if we're interested in the ethical perspective, then that might be useful, and something like the task difficulty of homeostasis in cars might not be quite as useful. So if we got the full text, we can download those and then start reading them and conducting our research on them. Let's have a look at one of these. Once we click through to the actual article, we can read through the article, but we can also do a bunch of other things over here on this menu. We can print, we can send, and we can also save these to a folder. And so you sometimes have to sign in. I think I may have already signed in to do this, but you can create folders to help organize your search results so that you don't have to keep coming back and starting your research over again. You can also mail them to yourself as well in case you want to look at them later. So this one's fairly short, not long enough, in fact, to qualify for the annotated bibliography assignment, but it still might have some useful material in it. And it's often useful to look at the references or the bibliographic entries for these articles. So we can see here that there are several other resources mentioned, and so we might follow up by looking at some of those. Let's jump back to the library website. If you need other types of academic support, it's available here. We have a whole bunch of the resources here for how to actually use the library. So again, let's start with the research help and working through this online tutorial. I think it's a really powerful resource, and if you're not familiar with the research process, definitely start there. Aside from the library's website, you can start to look at other places like Google Scholar. Now I know there's presentations on Google Scholar in a few weeks, so let's not spend too long talking about that. But we can have a quick look at what Google Scholar actually is. So Google Scholar will connect you with a list of Google search results that is theoretically limited to scholarly material. Let's look at self-driving cars through this. And we can see, let's do just a Google search here. We can have a look at the difference. Cars. So if we do self-driving cars in the regular Google search, we get over 9 million results. We get all sorts of different things, Wikipedia, all sorts of results that aren't going to be useful to us. The Guardian is not a scholarly resource, it's a newspaper. But if we go back to the Google Scholar tab, we can see here that we have only 11,700 results, which is too many, but it's much more manageable than 9 million results. We can again limit things here, and you can start looking through for full text and access material through Google Scholar. In some cases, you might find articles that are behind a paywall, so you'd have to pay to access them. So if you're using Google Scholar and you find resources that look useful to your project, but you can't get them directly, try going back to the library's website and actually searching for the articles through Academic Search Complete. So take the titles and bibliographic information from your Google Scholar results and put them into one of these databases that the library does have access to, does subscribe to. You'll often find that things are available. And searches sometimes turn up different results based on when you're searching, where you're searching, and all those kind of factors. So if you're not familiar at all with conducting scholarly research, then there's a lot of resources available for you. Feel free to ask me too if you need other help on any other aspects of the research process.